Hey y'all, this is Cooking with Dacaptain, and today we're gonna make the thing that is one of the best things I make, I think. My version of Indian butter chicken. Some would argue that it could be called chicken tikka masala. I'm a bit on the side of it being more butter chicken. It seems like those two names get kind of interchanged sometimes, but I'll call it butter chicken. And yes, there will be butter involved, but not yet. Right now, of course, there will be involved chicken. I cut up chicken breast, and I've heard that chicken thigh actually is what is normally used, but any chicken will do. I cut it up into essentially cubes. They're not cubes. They're just in a good kind of semi-bite size bits, and I don't exactly know what amount. I did 2 chicken breasts, and I cut them up and put them in there. So however much you want to make, I guess. But we do need to marinate it. And this marinade calls for some yogurt, Greek yogurt. And, well, that one's just about out, so I had to open another one. And I'm not measuring, because that's one thing that seems to be kind of an arbitrary thing with so many people. One recipe say this much, one recipe says that much, and you're like, where do I go? Split the difference? All I know is you just do it enough times, you kind of know how much needs to go in there, so you can just watch. The wise man once said you can observe a lot by watching. Figure that one out. Oh, I think that's probably about half a cup, maybe about half a cup. I just don't know however many spoons I put in there, depending on how much chicken you have. But let's also go ahead and get some salt in there. A little bit of salt. That's good. That's good. I don't need to go crazy. I'm going to squeeze some lime juice in there.
Lemon.
It can be lime juice too, though. But you're right. It is lemon juice. No, my wife is correct.
This happens to be a lemon. That's all.
Yeah, and when life gives you lemons, you make butter chicken. No, let a seed get in there. It may not be the end of the world if you get a seed. I'm going to go ahead and take some of this very nice, potent garlic ginger paste. The label actually says ginger garlic paste, but I can assure you it's the same thing. Put a nice dollop or so in there. I'm going to use right now turmeric. And put a couple of generous teaspoons in there. Cumin, ground cumin. Oh, not much to put in there. Yeah, maybe not as much as the turmeric, but enough. Coriander. In leaf form, this would be called cilantro, but some people even call it coriander in that form, which is interesting. I'm going by little bitty tidbits. And red chili powder. I've heard it called Kashmir powder. I've heard it, called, I don't know. But I like the red and the heat. Don't you, my love?
I love it. This is all just great. I'm so excited about dinner tonight.
Yes.
It's lovely.
Everything's going to get nice and stirred. Okay. All right. Well, that's good and stirred up. Sorry, that's noisy. And what's going to happen is it's just going to sit. And they say you can let it sit. The longer you sit, the better. Maybe true, but I really don't think you need to be too concerned about sitting it for a really long time if you don't want to, because in my previous video, I talked about how impatient I am, but I'd say about maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes. You got other stuff to do, so you can fill the time with plenty of stuff. So I'll get to that in a minute. All right, well, that chicken is just marinating, doing its thing over there. I got the stuff I'm gonna put in the sauce, or I guess they call it gravy, they call it whatever, just the good stuff.
We know it as curry a lot of the time too.
Curry.
So, yeah.
Oh yes, of course, it's a curry. I've got this onion, I guess it's a Vidalia onion. Yep, go ahead, chop it up. Boy, oh boy, this knife is better than I give it credit for.
Lovely, look at that.
Sharp knives are the safer ones. I'm going to get a lot of flack for the way I cut because I probably don't cut as well as the chefs do. But you know what? I'm not a chef.
You're a home chef.
Just a guy who likes to cook. I don't even like the term chef. Chefs can be real jerks. Just kidding. Sorry, all chefs out there.
The job I
Not all
want.
chefs are Gordon Ramsay. Not all chefs are golden, for that matter. Neither am I.
It's a job I would not be able to do.
Put the onions in one bowl. Have it ready. I got 2 bell peppers, orange and yellow. My wife loves the bell peppers in hers. I also have 2 jalapenos. I'd say these are optional. If you don't have them, it's not like you're left with nothing. It's a neat little trick. You can scoop out the fleshy part of your jalapenos with a spoon. All right, and the second one, scoop this bit out with a spoon. Some people might like to leave this part, but I think for this particular dish, I'm just gonna go with the pepper part itself, not the inner flesh and seeds. I think I'm just gonna stick with the green bit. In fact, I'm gonna do this different. Cut this one up semi-fine. I'm gonna put these in with the onions, because when I put the onions in, that means that the oven's preheated. But when the onions are getting sauteed, I'm gonna have the jalapeno chopped up with it. The bell peppers are gonna come later. This is one reason why I would want to be a chef is you got to work so stinking efficiently and at an insane rate. It'll just drive you nuts.
Yep.
Talk about me not being patient. Think about those chefs, some of those folks under pressure to get the food out in a good time and have it ready to make on call.
So nice being home and just being able to relax
It's
while you
like
cook.
we can't let things like this become a lost art. Just being in your house to cook. Sad thing is, cooking for guests was threatened when pandemic hit. Everybody cook in their house, but just couldn't have really many guests at all.
See, I was going to say though that I think during the pandemic it kind of brought back that art of cooking at home and doing,
Yeah.
you know.
Now the pandemic's going to be out. Knock on wood, pretty soon.
Right?
And having the guests around to do it with be in full swing again too. We can all be thankful.
Absolutely.
We can all be thankful for what we got, and we can appreciate it more once we can. Life can hopefully be semi-normal again, if there is such a thing. All right, we're back. I got me a pair of tongs. I got me a thing of rice simmering. That's gonna go with our meal. And I got the chicken here, and I got an oven preheated to 450. Actually, I might even go as high as 500 while I'm at it. Only take a little bit to get it up there. It really helps if you have, I don't know, maybe a tandoor, which I didn't know. I don't have one of those insane clay ovens that can get up to close to 1,000 degrees. Oh, but yes. And
That's specialized.
500 degrees, I think that will do just fine. See, I'm placing this chicken onto a baking sheet that I've lined with aluminum foil. It really just does better and helps up with cleanup later too. You just throw the foil away. Just taking it, there's really no rhyme or reason as to how you get it on there. Just get it on there. That marinade is not going away. We're gonna use it later. So, yeah, don't get rid of it. But yeah, into the oven it will go. In fact, I would say it would be wise to get one of these hot pads. I was an idiot the other day and I just grabbed a hot iron skillet with my bare hand, even though I had the mitt in the other one, because I was trying to do something. And just this whole thing, I'm telling you, it's like Bob Ross said, when you're old, mine's the second thing to go. Right, hon? All right.
You're not old.
All right, we will come back to this in just a bit. All right, it's been about almost 20 minutes. And the chicken right now is looking great. But as you can see, it's not really black on the top. I haven't turned the chicken over. I am going to, however, put it on the top rack, and I am going to, with the oven having been turned off, but bake, I'm now going to turn it on to broil on high. It'll probably take just a few more minutes, and then the chicken will be just the way I want. See, the chicken is done. I finished it under the broiler. It's perfect. My wife couldn't even resist sneaking a few pieces, but she does that anyway.
They're yummy.
Yeah, there's still plenty for me to put in this. I am going to put in this blob of oil I got in here that's heated up. I'm going to go ahead on a medium-high heat. I'm going to go ahead and add the onions and bell peppers.
There we go.
Carefully, because I'm going to splatter. And I had to pour them slowly. But they're sizzling. And pepper gets you in the nose once it goes in there, and then jalapeno. I'm going to do some good to shake a little salt in there. This salt shaker is not, pardon me, not cutting it. A little bit of that. There we go. That'll get the onions sweating a little bit. Just, you know, get them to where they're going to kind of saute. They're going to get nice and soften up. And the jalapenos in there with them. All right. Now the onions are pretty good and softened here, I would say. At least enough for my liking. I'm going to next turn the heat down just a tad, maybe not too much, but I don't want it to go any higher. I'm going to add that marinade that I was talking about. Go ahead and just get as much of it out as I think I can. There we go. Enough to merit having it around. All right, I think
Enough
we're good.
to marinate it having right now. I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm being dumb.
Whatever. Swirl it in there. In fact, might be a good time to go ahead and just add the bell peppers. I could have done that before this, but it really don't matter. They're going to get good and kissed with the heat. I'll just turn the heat up a tad, just back to medium high. Just keep it right about there for a bit. Let it do its thing. You see it start to do that thing where it goes in the bottom. Yeah, that means keep stirring, or maybe just turn the heat down just a tad. Doing its thing here. I gotta beat out some sort of a weird rhythm or something like that. But I would say next in line is the butter. Butter. A whole stick, but I cut it in half just to make it melt a little bit easier. And
Butter chicken.
of course. We've already fulfilled the chicken part.
So good.
And now you see the butter. Melt the butter in there with everything. Gonna give a nice, kind of nice silky texture to the curry. All right, that butter is getting close to all melted here. It's almost like you're making boxed mac and cheese here, but that's not what this is. Nope, let it be known. Let it be known. It looks a lot yellower than maybe you think it should, but actually, don't worry, it's not going to be. It's not going to stay that way. All right, now the butter in there, everything kind of just doing its thing. Next thing to go is the tomato. I would say the best tomato is just a simple 15-ounce can of crushed tomato, just that, depending on how much you're doing. But again, I would say this is a good average amount. Hey, what's wrong with leftovers, right? Mm-hmm. I would say at this point it's good to cut the heat down to medium, if not medium low. The tomatoes, once they're in there, since they got a lot of water in them, if the thing's too hot, all it's going to do is do that little, where it's just got little tomato volcanoes going on all over the place. And I would say at this point it's a good time to start adding some seasonings. I may need to bump the heat up a tad. I think there's a lot of, I want this stuff to thicken properly, but it'll be plenty thick. It'll be just the right consistency. All these spices here, I got curry powder. Just a touch. These are ones that I may not always go crazy on, but hey, I'll put enough. Paprika, that's one you need. I would say I'd put a good amount in, only because in this case it needs to be red, and you obviously don't want to make it too sweet, but you do want to make it to where it has a good red color and has that good paprika flavor in it. I'm gonna put in a little more of that red chili powder I used in the marinade, not too much, and maybe some cayenne. Just a little.
So good.
Just enough to
Flavor it just a smidge.
Oh, it's flavored. It's
Oh,
more than a
it's
smidge. I'm going to flavor this
amazing.
more than a smidge. I always
Yeah, it's
have. That's just the way it has to be done.
You do such a good job with it.
Now, there. Now it's looking more nice and red orangey kind of. I would say I could add a little more turmeric if I needed. I may do that later, but we'll see. I'm just going to take these chicken pieces that I've already cooled, but don't worry, they look tough and everything. They're going to just be all coming to the party right now. Yeah. All of them except the ones that fell victim to my wife's
They're just so good. I like them.
inability to resist,
They're good
which I
even without the
understand.
curry.
I
like them
understand.
to
Sure, there's a thing called chicken tikka. That's essentially what this would be. Just be sure the foil doesn't come off with it. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. I don't think you want foil in this. This can get stirred up in there. Oh boy, yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
So good.
What I'm talking about.
Phenomenal.
Now, the lid goes on. I would probably put the heat down to medium-low again. It's starting to come up to a little bit of a percolate in there. Right of a medium simmer. I would say probably just leave it right about there, at about the low, medium-low. And it's going to stay there for several minutes and just do its thing, and then we'll get to the next step. Okay, it's been doing its thing for a little bit, probably about 10-15 minutes, I guess. And oh, it's looking great. Now there's a couple of big final steps. You can put some cream in it, but really just using regular half and half works great. I would avoid the fat-free half and half, or you can just use plain cream. I would say for this, I don't know, you just eyeball it. You may not need a whole lot of cream in this, but I'm gonna put enough.
Maybe quarter cup.
Yeah, put it a little bit more, not much. Enough to really give it a good silky look. Let's just do that. Let's just do that and maybe call it a day. Let's see here. This is, it looks like dried oregano leaves. Well, they call it Indian oregano, except it's not oregano. It's fenugreek leaves, or kasuri methi. Got this at the Indian Mart. That's definitely a good place to go get a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
You got an Indian grocery store anywhere in your area, you are living life.
So often we found it's cheaper to get the bags, the bigger bags of spices,
True
as
that.
opposed to like the dollar bottles here and there at the groceries. We
Yeah,
found that.
there's some you can get at the grocery, but there's plenty of good spices and a good
Overall, it saves you money.
bargain.
Just,
Yes.
Yeah, the bulk ones at the Indian market.
I'm gonna add more of this. But again, don't have to go nuts. But yeah, go nuts with that.
So good.
Go nuts.
There's probably some more of that on the list then next time we go.
Probably. We are not ashamed
So
to
good.
say that we love to shop there. And who would be if you ever did shop there?
Great.
Great stuff. This stuff, I'm gonna give it just a couple more minutes and then I'm gonna say we're ready to eat. All right.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're good to go now. Look at this thing of beauty. I got my rice. Got my ladle. And you just go ahead and lay it all on top. Now, my wife doesn't always like this,
You're more of a fan than I am, I think.
but I like to put a little cilantro maybe. But if you're without it, it's all good. There we go. Lovely. Oh, and a fork would be nice. Chicken.
Or you could eat with your hands like traditionally.
This is butter chicken. This has been Cooking with Dacaptain. See you later.